Okay, um, very good evening to everybody. For those of you who are joining me and Johan and Ellen, Hong and Alfie here in this room, thank you for joining us on this webinar, Human Resources webinar of MSF Hong Kong. I would like to share with you what we're going to do for today. I will start by having a presentation. It will last about 10 minutes, and after that, we will also hear from Johan, who is an experienced field worker, who is a non-medical profile, who will say a few words to share his perspective as a non-medical field worker. And then we will be open for question and answers for all of you out there. So yeah, um, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Jaggu, and I've been with MSF for around more than 7 years. And I must say that it's a decision I made a long time ago to join this organization, which has been a wonderful decision, and I've never looked back since. It's an amazing organization filled with wonderful people running this amazing and remarkable humanitarian organization that helps so many people around the world. It helps to save lives, it helps to alleviate suffering, and you'll find people who are very passionate about keeping the positive balance of this world, who are willing to sacrifice their daily comforts in traveling to far off places, to strange lands, in helping people who need help. Yeah, and so it's an amazing organization basically, and I would like to share with you what this organization is all about, and I will also be sharing with you the type of people that work in this organization, the kind of projects that we do in the field, and I will also share with you, in case you are interested to join, what you need to do and the steps of joining. So I will start with a presentation that I prepared here. Like I said, it will only take about 10 minutes. So yeah, it was MSF, or it's known as Médecins Sans Frontières. In some countries, then it's also known as Doctors Without Borders. Was formed in 1971, in way back after the Biafra War in Nigeria, where we lost a lot of people. And this organization provides medical assistance in the name of universal medical ethics. And basically, the aim is to save lives and alleviate sufferings of victims of natural or man-made disasters, regardless of race, religion, caste, creed, and so on. So it has also been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1999. Just to share with you the type of MSF interventions that we do in the field. MSF normally engages in places where there are natural disasters, so aftermath of natural disasters, be it tsunamis, floods, mudslides, this kind of things. MSF will immediately jump into action in helping people who are needy. Then MSF also helps in man-made disasters in places like in conflict zones, which is increasing around the world. So MSF is present in the most dangerous places in the world, as you can imagine, places like Somalia, Darfur, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Congo, and various other places which are deemed to be high security areas. MSF also responds to epidemics, outbreaks of epidemics, and endemics as well. Then the other scope that MSF tackles is also providing medical assistance to populations who are excluded from any healthcare facility whatsoever. Victims of neglect or marginalization is another group that MSF extends support to. And there are a lot of diseases which are classified as neglected diseases, and these people who suffer from these diseases, such as trypanosomiasis, which is known as sleeping sickness, other diseases such as Chagas and Rift Valley nodding diseases and all that. These are the type of diseases that normally the pharmaceutical companies would not prefer to do any R&D in coming up with cures. So just because the population is not a viable market, so MSF has initiatives in trying to come up with cures for people suffering from neglected diseases. I would like to share that although MSF is a medical organization, but then they also have a huge component or a large scope of non-medical activities built into this organization. And we also provide a lot of support in terms of non-medical support, be it water, food, shelter, etc. Let me just spend a few minutes here in sharing with you the type of field activities that MSF does. The basic health care, that's one big component. Surgical activities is also something that MSF does. In fact, we are intensifying surgical programs in the field. We are increasing more and more, hence the need. We need a lot of people with surgical profiles from this region. We are looking for surgeons, anesthetists, OT nurses, and even we are also looking for people such as midwives, gynecologists, and so on. So there, we do run surgical programs, be it general surgery, orthopedic surgery, and even plastic surgery. We've also worked with refugees and internally displaced populations. Normally, the needs are massive in normally these kind of places. Hospital-based programs. MSF also runs hospitals where they have many components that they do, many different kind of programs that they run in a hospital. Outreach programs for populations who cannot come to us, then we organize mobile clinics in trying to reach out to them. Nutritional activities, the needs in these areas are increasing around the world, and so MSF is also stepping up in this area. Other stable programs are such as like HIV program, which is a huge component in terms of financial, especially with a lot of global funds pulling out of this area. Tuberculosis, including multi-drug resistance TB, malaria. Psychosocial programs, MSF sends a lot of psychologists into the field in running mental health programs. Women's health programs are also something that MSF takes quite seriously, providing all sorts of services ranging from antenatal, postnatal, FGM, VVF, emergency op scan, so on. Pediatric care, health promotion. We do send health promoters in the field, IECs and so on. Why? Because we help to educate the local population in helping them understand how they can improve the situation better. The kind of supporting activities that MSF does, quite huge on non-medical side, such as the logistics and supply management. We basically move mountains when it comes to such kind of scenarios, such as like earthquakes, the one like in Haiti recently, where we immediately set up inflatable hospitals and so on. Energy supply, because MSF works in a lot of very remote places around the world, so we need to have a constant good supply of energy to run our projects. Hence, this is an area where we also pay a lot of attention to, and this is normally supported by the non-medical people in our team. Telecommunications, of course, we don't expect a doctor or a surgeon to set up our telecommunications infrastructure in the field, and basically the message I'm trying to send out is, yes, we do look for non-medicals to join MSF as well. These are people like engineers, logisticians, and so on. We will also talk a bit more on the non-medical profiles that we look for. Security management. I mentioned that we work in some of the most dangerous places in the world, so MSF has a very good security protocols and policies in place to make sure that we are able to work in such places. Transportation, reaching out to our projects which are located in very remote places, because the needs are highest in these areas, so we need to organize bringing supplies into these places and also taking people, human resources to such places. Construction, being in remote places, so there's basically nothing there, and so we sometimes need to start from scratch in building proper facilities. And of course, to run any proper health, medical health facilities, you need clean water and also proper sanitation, and hence we also have water and sanitation programs we do where we need the expertise of non-medicals again. Pharmacy management, Another important area to make sure that we have adequate supply of quality drugs and making sure that the stocks are not ruptured and so on. Waste management, how we treat a lot of things in our projects in terms of such as shards and needles, discarding them and so on, has to be looked into very carefully, and we have proper protocols in terms of waste management. Training and capacity building is another area that we invest quite heavily, because the intentions of MSF is not to remain there for good. Of course, we want to identify a local actor to take over so that we can enrich the local communities by helping them to stand on their own feet. So we normally identify a local partner, perhaps the Ministry of Health or a local NGO, and we help to build their capacity to a level where we can hand over the project to them. HR management, we are looking for more and more HR experts to join us in the field, because the needs for HR are tremendous, overseeing all kind of human resources policies in the project, such as taking care of the expats who arrive there, taking care of the local staff, and hiring and doing all the necessary, the full spectrum of human resources, and we are looking for a lot of HR coordinators to go to the field. Finance and admin people are also sought after to run our projects. And we do lobbying and liaison activities as well, in terms of liaising with the local partners, in engaging them and trying to implement our medical programs in the field. Just to share with you the type of profiles that we are looking for to join MSF, 3 types. Basically, they are broken down to medical, paramedical, and non-medical. If I were to talk about the medical profiles, then we are looking for surgeons. We're looking for medical doctors. We're also looking for obstetricians and gynecologists and anesthetists. We are, in this part of the world, we seem to be having a lot of trouble looking out for gynecologists, and we really urge that if you know, or if there are any gynecologists listening in right now, we really need you, and please consider joining MSF for humanitarian missions. The paramedical profiles that we look for are such as OT nurses, registered nurses, lab technicians, psychologists, pharmacists, and midwives. And the non-medical profiles are technical logisticians, and these technical logisticians normally they take care of a lot of facilities in the project, such as pumps and generators, and energy and electricity, IT, computer equipments, water and sanitation systems, construction, vehicle mechanics, radio and communication equipments, this kind of areas that the technical logisticians look into, whereas the Watson engineers will look into the water and sanitation aspects of the project. Admin and finance people doing the bookkeeping mainly, and looking into the visas and all sorts of other administrative procedure. HR coordinators, like I mentioned. Project coordinators are the one who run the project, who are responsible for the entire project, whereas the heads of mission are the one who are responsible for all projects in the country, and normally they are at the capital level. Just to share with you the type of, in case if you are interested to join, I would like to share with you the MSF package. We do provide a monthly salary, or indemnity as you call it. Normally when you go for the first mission, it starts around 800 to 900 euro. And if you go for a subsequent mission, then it jumps to around 1,300, 1,400 euro per month. While in the field, you will also receive field allowance. So basically, you don't really touch your salary. You can survive on the field allowance as well. And then we provide the Rolls-Royce of medical insurance package. In terms of transportation to from the country, everything is taken care from the day you set foot out of your door. And accommodation is provided wherever you go for briefings, for trainings, and in the field for projects and so on. And finally, we do provide trainings in preparing our field workers, and if they would consider to stay longer, we also have all sorts of trainings to further develop them in their career with MSF. So there you go. That was just a rundown of what the organization is, the kind of people that work for it, the type of field projects that we do, the activities that we do, and if you're interested, just sharing with you earlier what you need, what we offer. And if you are interested to know further, there's a lot of other information, of course, which um, is not included in this presentation that I just did with you. And so all this information you can access by going to our website. You can go to www.msf.org.hk. And if you would like to go specifically into the area of joining MSF as a field worker, then it's www.msf.org.hk /fieldwork. So this is the presentation that I wanted to share with you. I would like now to pass the forum to one of our very experienced non-medical field worker who has gone on a few missions with us with MSF. He's from Singapore, and his name is Johann Anwar, and he's recently also been absorbed into the board of MSF Hong Kong. We are glad to have him here online. He's currently somewhere in Malaysia, and it's agreed to join us live now on air. So yeah, let's. I will leave the forum to him to say a few words more on the perspective of a non-medical field worker for MSF. Johann, are you there?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yeah, please go ahead, Johann.
Okay, great. So, thanks, Jaggu. Thanks for that wonderful briefing. I think I learned a lot more about MSF than I knew too. Hello, everybody. My name is Johann. I'm from Singapore, and I would like to talk to you about the non-medical aspect, specifically the logistical aspect of being an MSF. I am a logistician. A lot of people wonder what that means. A field logistician in MSF is not the traditional meaning of what a logistician is. We don't only handle how you say stocks and all that. We also dig trenches. We set up solar systems, telecom systems, water and sanitation facilities, things like that. So think of what MSF is as a town. If we are running a town and there are doctors there are people that need to support that medical facility. So please think of us as everything that is necessary before the doctors can get to work. So I help people set up the transportation systems, transportation networks, the water and sanitation, any toilets that need to be set up, any power delivery systems that need to be set up. So before the doctors can start the work, of course, MSF is in essence an emergency medical organization. So we are there to support the doctors, to help them get everything in order so that they can do their work. But on top of that, there are certain aspects of emergency work where the logistician is actually very, very important. For example, when it comes to disasters like earthquakes and floods, then the logisticians are called upon to get the people into the medical triages in the first place and get the people out of trouble, trying to get the rubble out of the way. For example, when I was in Kenya, we had a clinic, and suddenly whole thousands of refugees came down because they heard of us and they needed a place to stay and they needed an IDP camp. So we had to find a place to house them and make them comfortable until the government came in to intervene. And the doctors couldn't do that, so it's something that the logisticians have to do. As what Jaggu said, there are a lot of different kinds of logisticians. Myself, I'm a general logistician, so I help people do the entire gamut of things that needs to be done before an MSF mission can come to play. So for example, if you are a logistician that only deals with water, we are much more than happy to have you along, but you will also learn other skills. For example, how to fix a car and how to set up a power system, power delivery system. But of course, at the end of the day, we're not the people who are expected to do that. We are trained to do that so that we can hire the local staff to do it, and we can supervise them in doing so. Yeah. Um, why I joined MSF as a non-medical person, because I knew that in terms of emergency missions, doctors are not the only people needed. Of course, they are the most important people needed when it comes to life and death. But there has to be people to set up the facilities for the doctors to work. There has to be people who can bring in the medicine for the doctors to work with. There has to be people to allow the sick and the wounded and the people who don't have access to healthcare to be able to come to our facilities. Or the other way is there has to be people that enable our doctors to go to where they need to go. Right. Um, that being said, I didn't start out with all these skills. MSF gives you great training to make sure that you are confident when you go out to the field. Um, I did not know, for example, how to sanitize water and all that, and MSF has taught me a great deal. Besides logisticians, of course, there are a lot of other roles in MSF. For example, financial people, administration, HR. So there's a lot of call for people of any discipline to be part of MSF, and we greatly welcome you. I myself applied online. It's very easy to apply online. You can just go to like www.msf.org.hk and go from there. So that's my piece. I hope you had a great listening time talking to me. If you have any questions, please feel free to chime in.
Right. Thank you very much, Johann. Really appreciate you sharing with us your perspective. And what I would like to do is now move on to the section where we take questions. Before that, I would just like to mention a bit that Johann did say that it's easy to apply. Just go online and you can apply. It's true. Everything is explained on the website. We have already recently revamped our website also to make it more user-friendly and easy to navigate. So it has all the steps that you need to undertake in joining us. Maybe I would just like to share what happens after you apply online. After you have applied, then your application will be captured by our database, and immediately the HR officer responsible for your pool related to your profile will get in touch with you in helping you go on with the screening process to the next stages. And this will include screening your application and getting in touch with you and giving you advice on if you're lacking in certain areas, or if you fulfill all the areas, then he would invite you for a telephone interview. And we will do a telephone interview which acts as a pre-screening. And after doing other steps like reference checks and so on, if you are successfully selected for the next stage, which is shortlisting you for an assessment center, then we will fly down to the city closest to where you live. Normally we do these assessment centers in cities such as Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, Manila, Beijing, Guangzhou, and a few other cities around this region, where we go down and then we interview and we do few activities related to the assessment center in doing the recruitment and selection activities. These are normally divided based on the competency-based interview that we will do, the in-tray exercise, as well as group discussions that we will do, and doing short technical tests also for the profile that you come from, the test which is related to your profile. And if you are successfully intaken and you go through all this successfully, then you will be absorbed into the pool of field workers. And from there on, then we will identify suitable trainings for you. We will identify the suitable missions for you to go to, and we will then assist and support you from all aspects of obtaining your visa for the country that you will be going to the vaccinations that you have to do, and the whole works. We will be supporting you. Maybe I'm going too far in giving you too much information at this stage, but I just thought it will be useful for you to know in case you are wondering what happens next. I'm going to move on to taking questions. I've already got two questions here. The first question is from Calvin Kwan, and his question is, "Hi, I am a civil engineer working in Hong Kong. I feel quite interested on your missions and tasks. Do you mind if you can briefly describe what is a typical daily routine working as a logistician? What qualities do you think are essential to be able to carry out your duties well on the field? Furthermore, MSF has missions in a lot of unstable places in the world. What do you think of the security of frontline field workers? What is MSF's security policy for field staff? It's a long question, and there are quite a few questions in that question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down into three categories. I'm going to talk about the daily routine. I'm going to talk about the quality and skills required to be a logistician, and finally I will also talk about the security aspect. To begin with, the daily routine of a logistician is to provide support to MSF's medical programs, to coordinate the purchase and transportation of supplies, both locally as well as internationally, oversee transportation and communication equipment use, maintenance, supervising the local and non-medical staff. Based on mission context and program, logisticians are normally responsible to all or many of the following things, such as restoring damaged hospitals or building new hospitals. They are also responsible for setting up feeding centers, organizing the transport of vaccines, cold chain movement that is, ensuring the project power supply is reliable, maintaining vehicles and communication systems, designing and managing water and sanitation or construction projects, setting up clean water sources in a camp for displaced people, or managing the emergency provision of drinking water after a natural disaster, building latrines, or taking care of waste management in a hospital. So this is basically what a logistician will be doing. But of course, you won't be doing the whole gambit, as Johann put it. You will be given a certain area to take care. For example, if you are only on supplies, then you will be concentrating on supply. Whereas if you are on construction and rehabilitation, then you will be focusing on that area and so on. The second part of the question, which is what kind of qualities and skills are required to be a logistician. If you have familiarity with managing pumps and generator maintenance, that will be useful. Energy and electricity supply. If you're familiar with IT and computer equipments, or you are familiar with water and sanitation systems, or if you're familiar with construction and vehicle mechanics, radio and communications equipment, or if you have proven ability as a manager, foreperson or team leader, and ability to train and coach people. So these are the skills that will be useful as a logistician. And to address your question on security aspects, well, each mission has specific and detailed safety regulations and plans in place. So before starting a new project and throughout the entire period of the activity that we carry out, we do a risk analysis, and on missions where there's a high level of risk, the movements of our field workers may be severely restricted and will be required to follow very specific instructions and procedures. In some situations, we may even temporarily pull out our team to a safer location, and in most cases, once the situation settles down, then we may bring our team to return back to where they are. So we have antennas in place, we have security focal points looking out at what's going on, and we have crisis management policies in place. We have very good evacuation procedures. So this is the reason why we are working in some of the most dangerous places and why we are able to do so. Normally, all MSF staff must strictly observe security rules and regulations, which is very important. If you disregard any of the security rules, then we have no choice, but we may send you back on the next flight home. So I hope I answered Calvin Kwan's question. I'll move on to the next question, which is from Natasha M. And Natasha is asking, hi, I'm curious, I have my MPH, but no clinical degree as of yet. A good friend of mine works for MSF. Will you be explaining opportunities for folks with just MPH? Just to share with you, Natasha, MSF, I mean, to go and work with MSF on a humanitarian mission requires a high degree of expertise as well as experience. So why? Because when you go to the field, you will mainly be dealing with very complicated cases beyond what normally we face in our home country. And so that's why it's very vital that one of the hard criteria of joining MSF, you must have a clinical degree, as well as you must have minimum 2 years working experience. So I hope I answered your question on that one. Do we have other questions? I'm just having a look at Alan right now to see if we have. Okay, it appears that yes, we have another question. All right. Sometimes for our friends from certain countries like Indonesia and Philippines and other Asian countries who are not from the web, and the question is, how do they apply? Well, you could go online and to read the instructions. But if for some reason you are unable to have a proper internet speed and you are not able to fill it online, to do the online application, well, you can write to us, and we can always work with you, and we will communicate with you and maybe sending it to us offline, and we can take it away from there. So yeah. Just to share with you, MSF Hong Kong is responsible for this region, and basically the region, the scope that MSF Hong Kong is responsible is Greater China and Southeast Asia. That includes 13 countries altogether. So everyone from these countries who would like to join MSF would be managed and processed by the MSF Hong Kong office. So countries such as China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Macau, Philippines, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. All people who apply from these countries will be processed by MSF Hong Kong, and we will be helping you all along the way. And yeah, we will also help to manage a healthy career with you with MSF once you join MSF. And it appears, yeah, we have one more question. It's from Zirong. He's an accountant in Canada, but I am from China. I'm interested in joining MSF's non-medical, and what does the admin fin role requires? To share with you, Zirong, if you are an accountant in Canada, it really depends on where you are currently based. If you are based in Canada, then the office in Toronto will be happy to help you join MSF, and you could apply to the Toronto office. But I'll be glad to share with you what are the requirements, or basically your question is you're interested in joining, and what does the admin fin role requires. Well, in the field, being an admin and finance person, well, there are a range of activities that you will be doing, such as looking into the salary aspects of the field workers, be it the expats as well as the national staff. You'll be looking at managing the work permits, all the visas needed to bring people into that country, liaising with the local authorities, and financial aspects would be looking into the budget and accounting of the project. And it varies from one project to the other. It also depends on the scale of the project. Some projects are huge, where we may have, like currently in South Sudan, we have a lot of field workers in one particular project in an area such as like in Maban area, Maban, Jamam, Batil, and these places, and Kilometer 43. We have roughly around 160 international field workers currently working there, and many national staff as well. So yeah, it depends on the scale of the project. If it's a huge project, then the requirements could be much more different from a very small stable project in a very remote place. And normally, to share with you, working as an admin of finance, it depends. If you are based at the field level, then you will be mainly doing activities specific for that particular project. Whereas if you are based at the capital level, the capital of the country, then you will be part of the capital coordination team, looking into administrative and finance aspects which are more related to the entire country, which means giving support administratively and financially to the various projects running in that country. We have another question from Emilia from Indonesia. She is still studying in international relations right now. Is it possible for me to join MSF? Like I mentioned, the hard criteria of joining MSF, you must have a qualified degree already. And but this doesn't apply for the non-medicals. For the non-medicals, sometimes I'm speaking mainly about the technical field logisticians. For the technical field logisticians, they don't necessarily need a degree, such as people who will be going and helping out with the transportation, energy supply, people who will be helping out with some of the things that I was mentioning just now, such as generators, managing generators, pumps, and constructions and vehicle mechanics and so on. So for this group of people, they don't really need a degree. But for profiles such as Emilia, you're interested to join MSF, and since you're studying international relations, then the profile that you will be best fitting to join MSF will be a humanitarian affairs officer. You could join MSF in that role, in that scope. However, like I mentioned, you need to complete your studies and you need to obtain your degree. And on top of that, then you need to have 2 years working experience. These are the hard criteria of joining MSF. Yep. And I think that's all for the questions we have at the moment. I hope you found this webinar useful and interesting. And for us, we are also happy to organize this. And in future, if you feel that there should be more of such webinars, and if you would like to also suggest the topics, feel free, write to us, and we will be glad to look into it. I would like to thank you very much for setting aside your valuable time in joining us for this webinar. Once again, I would like to thank on behalf of the team that is here in the room, and also Johann, who is currently in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you very much, Johann, and thank you to all of you for joining me and joining us today on this webinar. Wishing you all the best and hoping to hear from you and hoping to see your applications coming in. And please help us also to spread the word so that we can have more valuable people joining MSF on humanitarian missions, especially people from this part of the world who have proven themselves to be very good quality human resources to the movement. Thank you once again. Have a good evening and bye.